Got a little bit of good news, but folks, when ATF says they're protecting your Second Amendment rights, you have to read the fine print. And what if I told you that the very agency responsible for some of the most controversial gun regulations in modern history just announced a gimme for those who they have wronged? Well, not everybody, because that would be every gun owner in the nation, but for the hundreds of federal firearms licensees that they shut down during the Biden administration's now reversed zero tolerance policy. Remember that policy, we saw folks lose their livelihood, their gun shops, their licenses, their FFLs, for minor clerical errors. There's a vast reason that people lost their licenses, where before the ATF would help them correct their errors, get them right back on the right path, and get things back to normal. Now, that policy was recently repealed by the Trump administration, but hundreds and hundreds of people were caught up in that zero tolerance policy. And today we're diving into ATF's freshly updated page titled Protecting Second Amendment Rights. And folks, when the wolf puts on sheep's clothing, it's time to take a hard look at what's really going on behind the badge. Before I jump into it, I want to thank the sponsor of the video, that's Blackout Coffee, the unapologetically patriotic coffee brand fueling freedom-loving Americans nationwide. Whether you're pulling security duty, heading out to the range, or serving this country overseas, and you need to wake up to stay alert, Blackout Coffee has your back. Check out our new premium instant coffee, smooth, strong, and brewed for the bold. Comes in individual packets. You can take them anywhere. And if you head over to our website and use code GNG10 at blackoutcoffee.com/GNG, you can save 10% on your order. And if you download our app, your first order off the app, you'll save 20% off. Check us out, blackoutcoffee.com/GNG. All right, let's unpack what the ATF is trying to sell us here. Here's their newly, freshly updated page on protecting Second Amendment rights. It says, on February 7th, 2025, President Donald J. Trump issued the executive order protecting Second Amendment rights. Pursuant to that order, ATF reviewed the 2021 Enhanced Regulatory Enforcement Policy, sometimes called the Zero Tolerance Policy. In May of 2025, ATF replaced this policy with a new Administrative Action Policy. The new policy provides a fair framework for addressing violations uncovered by a compliance inspection, particularly when those violations do not impact public safety. Federal firearms licensees that surrendered their licenses, had their licenses revoked, or had their applications denied based on the EREP may reapply. ATF will review new applications and all pending licensing matters under the new Administrative Action Policy. Individuals who have questions about an earlier decision or general inquiries are encouraged to contact their local ATF field office or email industryliaison@atf.gov. ATF is committed to fairness and transparency in its regulatory enforcement program and to protecting Americans' Second Amendment rights while also protecting public safety. Sounds great, right? But you dig a little deeper into the ATF, here's what you'll find. The ATF claims its mission is to protect communities from violent criminals, criminal organizations, and the illegal use and trafficking of firearms. They go on to say that they'll enforce federal firearms laws with a focus on keeping firearms out of the hand of criminals while respecting the rights of law-abiding citizens. Yeah, respecting our rights. Tell that to all of those FFL owners who lost their livelihoods, or the FRT owners who got their doors kicked in, or the veterans who got flagged by NICS due to bureaucratic mix-ups, or the millions of lawful Americans who suddenly became felons overnight thanks to pistol brace reclassifications. These folks who lost their licensing due to the zero tolerance policy, as long as it's not due to public safety, they should get their licenses back immediately for free. They shouldn't have to reapply and pay all that stuff again. It should be done immediately and for free. Now, the ATF also posts about its public education and outreach to promote safe and legal firearm ownership. They highlight things like their involvement with the National Firearms Act and the eForms portal and industry compliance checkups, IOIs. The translation? We're watching everything you do, but don't worry, it's for your own good. They mention supporting FFLs by offering compliance inspections. Those are unannounced audits. and also offering education on how to follow those regulations. They stress how they partner with law enforcement to reduce firearm-related crimes. But what they don't mention is how often those so-called partnerships lead to excessive raids, data collection, and backdoor registration schemes, like the one we recently covered in Florida. Now, here's the real kicker. A quote from the ATF site that should send chills down every freedom-loving American spine. ATF enforces the Gun Control Act and the National Firearms Act, ensuring that all applicable federal firearm laws are carried out responsibly and fairly. Now, let's be honest, the Gun Control Act and the NFA were never about fairness. They're both unconstitutional. They're both illegal. They were about control, and responsibly enforcing an unconstitutional law is still enforcing unconstitutional laws. So why now? Why do this now? Why is the ATF suddenly trying to sound like our friend? Could it be the mounting pressure, the legal pressure specifically from all of these Pro-2A lawsuits that are, bearing down on them right now? Could it be the backlash over pistol brace overreach or FRT crackdowns or the revelation of these illegal registries? Guys, gals, remember, government agencies do not voluntarily give up power. They just rebrand it. So here's what we need to remember. The Second Amendment is not a privilege granted by the government. It's a God-given, constitutionally protected right. The ATF doesn't protect your rights. The people do. Through vigilance, civic pressure, lawsuits, and voting. Unfortunately, lawsuits is in that. When unelected bureaucrats start playing PR games, it's a sign that they're feeling the heat. So let's turn up that heat. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications, because this channel is dedicated to keeping you informed, engaged, and empowered. Share this video with your friends, your family, and especially those who still believe the ATF is somehow on the side of the Constitution. Let's wake them up. Also, send this to any FFL you know who might have been caught up in this, because most people aren't actively looking at the website for the ATF. I want to thank GOA for the hat tip with this information, and drop a comment down below. Do you believe ATF is protecting the Second Amendment, or are they just trying to protect their reputation? And don't forget to grab some Blackout coffee using my link down below and my code, and download the app to save even more money on your first order there. This is Jared from Guns and Gadgets, the premier source for Second Amendment news. And until next time, stay safe, stay ready, and stay free. God bless America. Take care.